Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Albers, and welcome here to the pregame and halftime show. And I'm joined by the head coach of the Anderson Redskins and Evan Dreyer. And Evan, last week we talked about that. We talked about your defense and that they had to improve. And I'll tell you what, right from the coin flip, making a bold statement there and deferring and letting that defense. That really was the statement of the game right there. What your defense did to start that game off.
I think everybody played with a chip on their shoulder, and our defense definitely prepared and wanted to come out and play and get a 3 and out. And we were really happy with the way we prepared, and we knew we had to stop the run game. And we feel like we were able to concentrate on the run game early on in the game, and then we didn't want the explosive plays to happen. And I think they're a really good football team, and they're really big up front. So it was a blessing to be able to have a fast start.
Yeah, your defensive line, I thought, did a really, really nice job. It kind of, like you said, bottled up that run, and they had to throw the ball obviously better with the run later in the game than they did in the past. But, again, you really – it was exciting to watch, and the kids really did – and the coaching staff, you guys did a really good job of getting those kids focused and back in gear.
To get back on track, Dan, after that game versus Kings, I felt like it was one of those things where – season either goes up or down from there, where our kids decided to come out and become a senior-led team, and it was a fantastic night to be able to coach a team that fought adversity. And it just felt like once we got off the bus, Dan, and got started playing, it was just that feeling of we're going to keep getting better and better and better and keep improving throughout the season. And I think that was one of those moments as a coach, you're like, okay, we did improve. We did the little things right. We got back to details, and we were able to keep improving. And I think that was like one of those key things inside this journey that people don't understand.
No, I totally agree with you, and it was great to see. And I think one thing too, Coach, that really helped out a lot is you guys did a great job on defense on third down. I think they were 4 for 15. That's huge in a game. I don't care what anybody says. When you can hold a team at 4 for 15, you're doing your job.
I think the biggest thing is that there was a couple third and shorts, third and longs that we got them into, and we were able to stop their passing attack. And then Billy Knott came up with 2 interceptions, and I think that was key for us in our ability to be able to get off the field on third down, and with our offense not turning the ball over and being able to kind of push the ball down the field, whether it was TD, field goal attempt, field goal, and just not turn the ball over. It kept our sideline and kept our energy in a positive manner.
Yeah, it really did. And one guy that you really can't keep down is Keith Farr. I mean, he did it. Ended up doing an excellent job, 229 yards. And I think what you did is you limited him to some really big runs. I mean, he had a couple, but I think limiting him to those big explosive runs really helped you guys out too.
Yes, because I felt like he could take it the distance anytime he touched the ball. And their O-line, just leaning on our guys, Dan, their average O-line size had to be right over 250, and our D-line just kept on battling and fighting, and we kept on getting off blocks and making sure just play another play. And it was exciting from a standpoint to see our defense just keep going at it and getting stops after stop.
Yeah, it was really nice. And let's go back on the flip side on the offense. Your guys offensively played really, really well. Again, Jackson Kuhn, 30 for 49, 393 yards and 4 touchdowns. But he also did a nice job running the ball. And I think the big one was that 65-yard run he had.
It was interesting because we drive down the field, we throw the 4th down pass to Joey Faulkner, and then Jackson makes the heck of a run to kind of get us up two scores at the beginning. Dan, I think that was key. Plus Jackson's ability to extend plays this season and then make a key run really, really helped us in the game. Just getting him out of the pocket and be able to make plays, it was exciting to see.
Yeah, it's pretty nice that you have a 3-headed monster at receiver with Faulkner and Upchurch and McClanahan. It's really nice. Joey ended up having a big game, 81, 62, and 2 touchdowns. And it's pretty nice that you can rely on any one of those guys at any time.
Well, I think they all are really, really good at certain things, Dan. And they do all great things when they have the ball in their hands, but they're blocking for each other, extending plays, and those are little things that make good teams great. And we got to keep making sure our offensive skilled guys keep taking care of each other.
O-line, I thought, did a pretty good job. You had a couple low snaps, but you got through that. But overall, you're pretty happy with your O-line?
Oh, I think the O-line, the sophomore center stepped in. Zach Zoga was out, and I think that was so fun to see a sophomore center join us and be able to compete at a high level, Dan. And there were 6 bad snaps, but as a sophomore center in the first start, if you remember your first start,
Oh, yeah.
if you have 6 bad snaps and play pretty well and we score 35 points or more, I think we're all really, really excited about how good Tyler Simonton played and our O-line's ability to get Jackson enough time in the pocket.
Absolutely. I thought Tyler did a nice job for being a sophomore, doing a good job. But so let's turn it over now to West Clermont. Always a tough opponent, no matter what you say. They're playing really, really well, played some good teams. They've beat Loveland. They lost to Lebanon and Winton Woods. And Coach, it's always a tough task when you're playing a West Clermont team and trying to simulate that triple option.
I think the hardest thing, Dan, is their method to the game is so much different than us. They're going to slow the game down. They'll snap the ball with 5 seconds left in the play clock. And our ability to get off the field in third down is going to be key for this week. But Nick has done a great job at West Clermont of making those guys buy in to what he's selling. And they're a good ball team now. I think the biggest thing that we've really realized is that each week West Clermont has gotten better. Last season, after they played us, of how good a football team they were. And then this season, they played 2 great teams and that are 1-2. But I think if they play different teams, they could be 3-0. And we're excited to get back to kind of this matchup where it's kind of 2 different ideas, and we'll see kind of which one comes out on top Friday night.
Well, I mean, have they done any new wrinkles to their wing tee? Anything kind of different? They passing a little bit more? Anything like that? Or
I think the biggest thing to do is they shift and motion every down, and which makes defensive teams their ability to kind of out leverage you and outmaneuver you, Dan, is hard. We have to get ready, prepared, because they'll motion a tight end over and then motion a receiver over, and we have to be able to communicate that, where the ball is going, and read our keys. And if we blitz and they hit a seam, it's a touchdown. If we don't read a block correctly, it's a touchdown. Like, they do a lot of good things offensively to make sure they're getting positive yardage on first and second down.
Yeah, I think, Coach, last year we saw I'm pretty sure it was last year's game that they did a pretty good job defensively. I think they threw a couple little wrinkles in at you last year. Do you expect to see that again, that they'll try to do something to try to, set you off just a little bit? I know that they are keyed up for this game, and they really want to try to do something different with your offense.
I think, Dan, as I always talk about, it is the battle of the East Side. Like, when you're growing up, this is a rivalry game, and I think their defense will be fired up. They bring pressure. They don't bring pressure. They play man-to-man, then they play zone. I think your defense coordinator is really, really good in getting guys ready to go for a game like this. And his idea is his method out there is, I'm going to bring heat, then I'm not going to bring heat. I'm going to keep you guessing. And it's a great back-and-forth game and with him. And I think the hardest thing that we have to do is we have to create matchups, and our ability to get one-on-one matchups with our guys is going to be key for this game.
Do you think another key is assignment football, obviously, on defensive, guys knowing what they're doing and reading their reads, making sure they're doing the right thing?
Yes, Dan, if we don't read the guards, tackles, and where the ball is going, it's going to be a long night. If we don't get off blocks and get them to 3rd and 6 and longer, it's going to be a long night, because their ability to run power, counter, double ISO over and over again until you stop it, and then they're going to run jet, and they're going to run counter. And they do a great job now. They don't turn the ball over very much, and it's just like, okay, well, every time we get the ball, there's going to be 3 to 4 minutes run off that clock, and we're going to minimize the game and your possessions, so each possession really, really counts.
All right, Coach, real quick, is there any injuries that we need to know about, and is Zach going to be able to play this week?
Oh, I think the O-line is back and ready to go. I think Miles Glenn Walker should be ready to go for this week. So it's exciting to see our team at full strength heading to week 4.
All right, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully we bring up a victory tonight as you take on West Clermont Wolves. So we're going to close it out here, and we'll be with Coach Suriano here in a minute. So for Coach Dreyer and Dan Albers, you've been watching The pregame and halftime show will be back with Vince Suriano right after this. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to the pregame and halftime show. And I'm joined by the former head coach of the Anderson Redskins and Vince Suriano. And Vince, last week we talked about the struggles Anderson had on defense, and I talked to Coach Dreyer earlier tonight, and I think the big key was honestly the flip and deferring to be on defense first, and it really set a statement because Lebanon went 3 and out, and it really set the tone for the early stages of that game.
Yeah, Dan, I think, as soon as I turned the video on Saturday morning and watched that first series, because, as we've discussed, I do the TV telecast, color commentating for Spectrum News. So I had the Hamilton and Fairfield game. So I wasn't able to see the game in person. So I have to wait until Saturday morning and watch it, when they send me the video of it. But as soon as I turned that on, they played better. The defense played with a purpose. You could tell that they were angry.
Yep.
They were not happy with the way they had played the week before, and they were really motivated. So along with that, I thought the defense was much more physical. Lebanon, the linemen that they have, Lebanon, are pretty big and physical kids, but they didn't get as much push on Anderson as they have some of the other teams. Now, they did get some displacement, which allowed them to move the football a little bit, which I can go into, when you want me to. So that was how they gained some of their yardage. But to get back, I thought Anderson corrected a lot of mistakes, and they played with a purpose.
Yeah, I really did. And I was telling Evan that the defensive line, I thought, did a really, really nice job. And I think the other big thing too, Vince, was when you can hold a team go 4 for 15 on third downs, that's going to win you. That's going to win you some football games.
Right. When you win third down, you're getting the job done. That's huge. I think where Anderson got into a little bit of trouble, and I think they will get this corrected as time goes on. They're still having trouble, Dan. When I look at the end zone shot, they're still having trouble a little bit with their fits and their, what I call their gap integrity. If a defensive lineman has the gap between the guard and the tackle, then that linebacker that's stacked on him has to have the next gap out. However they're playing it. And in that 3-3 stack, because like I told you, we put it in at Anderson in 2004 and ran it 2004, 2005, 2006. So I got a really, pretty good understanding of it. They have got to make sure they fit every gap off those stacks. And sometimes they were a little bit slow filling their gaps, and that's where the spaces were created, or they were getting separated too far apart, and there was a little crease for them to run through. And I just like anybody else with this abbreviated season and abbreviated practice time, I think that'll all come in time, and you can see that they're getting better at it. But like the first big run that Lebanon had, it might even been for a touchdown. Just the linebacker hung behind the defensive lineman too long. He stayed stacked behind him, which you can't do. And then when he went to get off that stack, he was late, and the lineman had him sealed off. So those are the little things, they got to learn to fit sooner and make sure they fill all the gaps, but they're getting better each week in doing that. So, I think that's huge. And then the two big interceptions that they had were really good and really at crucial times and made some really good plays there. So, and they got better in the secondary. So I think there were a lot of positive things defensively in this game that happened, Dan.
Yeah, and I think one of the interceptions you were talking about, we were talking about it on air, Billy Knott, I think he almost it looked like to us like he almost knew that that's where they were going to throw the ball, and he read his route and knew his route, and Billy did a really nice job of picking that one off.
Right, he did. It was very instinctive.
Yep.
And it's what we used to call route recognition. He knows what route's coming because he has seen it so much in practice, and he breaks on it, and that was really very intuitive of him.
Yeah, it really was. And they had their running back was a good running back now. Keith Farr was really good. He ended up with 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was a little surprised that, I mean, they did give him the ball a lot, but I was surprised that they were trying to throw the ball a little bit more when I would have been just running him like crazy. That's just my opinion, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I thought they tried to create some balance. Every head coach and coordinator is worried about a little bit. Let's have some balance so that everybody can't gang up on us on one facet of our game plan, or of our game. So, that happens sometimes.
Right.
Yes.
Jackson Kuhn, another great game, 393 yards, 4 touchdowns. But as I was talking to Coach Dreyer, I think one of the big plays was actually when he was on the ground and he ran 65 yards for a touchdown, and it kind of gave him a two touchdown lead. That was a nice run by Jackson.
Yeah, it was. First of all, I had talked to Coach Dreyer, earlier in the week about the game, and we had discussed some things. But I thought they had a great game plan. Lebanon came into that game, and we had seen it in the Winton Woods game where they played what you call cover zero. And that means everyone is playing man-to-man, and there are no free safeties. That's what the zero means. There's zero safeties that are playing zone. And when they did that and Anderson started to spread them out, the middle of the field was wide open. So when Anderson went empty, when they had 5 wide receivers, they completely cleared out the middle of the field. So once Anderson's offensive line got the force unit blocked and Jackson Kuhn went through there, was no one there.
Right.
And, and the other thing that was a little different about their man-to-man, usually people that play man-to-man will play you within 4 to 6 yards off the receiver. They were playing anywhere from 8 to 10 yards off, which is rare when you play zero, because they were trying to play a combination of man and zone. Like they wanted to man up, but he didn't want anybody to get behind them. So immediately, if you looked at the game, Anderson and Coach Dreyer called the plays. They utilized their quick game every way that they could utilize their quick game. They went 2-by-2, 3-by-1. They went empty. They went 3-by-1 through the single receiver side. They went 3-by-1 and threw it to the 3 receiver side. Any way they could use their quick game, they did, to force them to try to move up and then go deep. Then another thing that Anderson did that was really, really good was once they got them out of the middle of the field, Anderson started twisting and switching their receivers and crossing their receivers, and one receiver would take the middle of the field, and they were getting lost or they were running into each other, and that allowed the Anderson receivers to get open in the middle of the field. That's why you saw Anderson with so many big plays going down the middle of the field, which again was excellent game planning.
Yeah, and I tell you what, another thing that they've got, a good 300 monster right there with Joey Faulkner, Evan Upchurch, and McClanahan. Each one of those guys at any moment can have a big game, and it happened this week to be Joey Faulkner. He had 162 yards and touchdowns, and like you said, middle of the field was open for him a couple times, and they did a nice job exploiting him and getting him in the end zone.
Right, and Jackson Kuhn is very accurate with those passes. He does a nice job when they're open of putting the ball where it has to be, and I think that was really good. The other thing that Anderson is doing well is they have the ability to run the ball when they have to run the ball.
Right.
Everybody knows they're a pass first team, but when they have to run it, they are efficient enough to run the football. And now people have to be honest, and really be wary of that run game. And I think that's to their advantage. And the other thing that I felt was that Anderson's doing a nice job of getting the running back the ball. Yep. Like they have a pattern that's called mesh, where they cross 2 receivers over the middle. But when they bring that outside receiver and bring him in, and they were playing man-to-man, that corner had to run with him. And then they would swing the tailback or running back out of the backfield where that corner left, and the linebacker had to chase him.
Right.
So schematically, that was causing Lebanon some problems. The other thing I saw Anderson do is an old play that we used to use in my later years, is a sprint draw out of the shotgun where, Anderson runs the sprint out pass where they put Jackson Kuhn out of the pocket and throw on the run, but now they've got a draw off of it where he starts that way and then you hand the ball to the running back and he comes back the other way, which is a very, very good complementary play to your sprint out passing game, and it slows down the backside rush on that backside pursuit.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the offensive line again did a nice job today. They had a center that filled in for Zoglia who was out, and he, for his first varsity game, yeah, he might have had a couple of those snaps, but for only doing as many as he did, I thought he did very well for his first game. I mean, I think about like playing that early of an age in a varsity game, and those kids, all of them helped him out, and I think the offensive line did a pretty nice job Friday night.
Yeah, they did. They for the most part, they protected the quarterback pretty well, and the young man at center, that's hard stepping in a big game like that. And you're young, and there's a lot of pressure on you with those shotgun snaps. And he did have some that went awry, but for the most part, he was pretty much the target. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's always a challenge when you come into a week and you're playing a team like West Clermont, and they're taking on a West Clermont team that's 1-2, but they've had some really good games. They've played Lebanon tough and lost to them and lost to Winton Woods, and it was a close game there for a while too. So they're going to have their hands full again in defense. They're going to have to play assignment football with this wing tee that they do, and talk a little bit about that, Vince.
Yeah, here, first of all, it's a rivalry game. You're playing the community that's right next to you.
Right.
So, there's some emotion involved in that game. And the other thing, that offense that West Clermont is running, when they were Amelia and Glen Estee was running that offense back when I was coaching.
Right.
With Zach Taylor, not the
That's
Zach Taylors with the Bengals, but when Zach Taylor was there in the year 2000. In fact, in the year 2000, we went 8-2, and Glen Estee with Zach Taylor running the wing team was one of the teams that upset us.
Yeah.
We lost to St. X by 3 or 4 points that year, and we lost to Glen Estee, but it's the same offense. Now it's been modernized, but here's the thing about the wing tee. First of all, it's old-fashioned football, all right? And that offense that they're running was born in the late 50s, early 60s in Delaware. It was called the Delaware Wing Tee when it first came out. That was what it was called. And the quarterback's under center. There is a ton of misdirection. The audience will see, and the fans will see backs crossing all night. And it's called a wing tee because you have a fullback and you have a running back, and then you have a wing back next to the tight end. And it's old school football. There's a lot of pulling and trapping. They use a lot of unbalanced sets and a lot of what you call pin and pull schemes, where like if the tackle blocks down on the defender over the guard's pulling around him and blocking a linebacker or trapping another defensive lineman out. That's called a pin and pull scheme. And obviously they run the fullback more than most teams because most teams today don't even have a full.
Right.
If they do go to some kind of two-back set, it's an H-back. So, and then they use the wing back to motion to get the extra blocker across. They hand the ball off to him. So, they have upgraded this wing tee, so it's pretty modern, and they use a lot of motions and shifts. They'll get lined up to see how the defense lines up, then they'll motion and shift everybody and make you realign. And and then but one thing I noticed about it when you study teams that use a lot of motion is a lot of times the motion takes you to the ball. They're putting that guy in motion for a reason, right, to get the extra blocker over there. So a lot of times, like, you can angle, you can blitz to that wing, you can do some things to get your extra guy over there too. the other thing that our fans must remember is when you run this type of offense, basically almost all your passes are play action passes because you do so much crisscrossing with the backs. You want to make those one or two fakes, then drop the quarterback back to throw. And then, the other thing they'll do, number one, they'll play action. They'll fake the run and then throw downfield. Number two, they'll sprint the quarterback out. And then number three, they only drop back when it's long yardage or they're way behind the chains or they're going to throw quick game. Other than that, everything's play action. So your defensive backs have to stay back a little bit and can't run up too quickly to support the run or they're going to get burnt. So the other thing I'd like to throw out too is I was counting their plays. They have 8 distinctly different running plays with different schemes. Now, in today's world with the spread, most teams only have 3 or 4. Well, like when I was at UC, we would go into each game with about 3 blocking schemes, because the defenses are so multiple today that you just can't get everything blocked. But this team uses 8 different schemes. Now, when I say we only use 3 blocking schemes, we might have had 3 or 4 plays off of each scheme, which gave us a variety. But they're running about 8 different blocking schemes. So that's a little bit different than most people see because you're usually not preparing for that many things. I always knew this when we played Glen Estee, back when they ran the wing tee when it was Glen Estee. I'm going to tell you what, on Saturday morning, I was mentally really, really tired on Saturday and Sunday because it's very exhausting to your players and to your coaching staff because everything's different and you have to zero in and make a lot of adjustments. And I think that's going to be the challenge of Anderson's defense if they, can play their responsibilities. Sometimes if you look too much in the backfield, you get lost with all the crisscross. So you really got to zero in on the linemen and how they're blocking to know where your fits are. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing. And then the tough thing about it is you only see that once a year. Like right. Anderson will probably never see another team all year that runs the wing tee.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I remember way back when with Zach Taylor is, you're sitting there thinking, run, and then all of a sudden he'll lull you to sleep and he'll throw a pass when it's unexpected and you're not ready for it. And it is, like you said, it's assignment football. And if guys do what they're supposed to do, but it's one of those offenses. I'll be honest, I don't care for it because I don't like it. I think to me it's boring. I mean, but it's very successful and it's been successful for West Clermont and some of these other schools. So it's going to be a key for Anderson to do that tonight. And then, some of the other things. So obviously on the flip side of it, I remember last year they did a little kind of mix things up on Evan defensively. And I think this coach will do the same thing again. I think he's going to try to throw a bunch of different little wrinkles at Evan, as far as their defense goes. So talk a little bit about what they do on the defensive side of the football.
Right. They're going to try to do something a little bit different. I don't know exactly what it'll be, but everybody that comes in and plays Anderson when they have 4 and 5 wides, they try to come up with some little wrinkle. Basically, West Clermont has what you call a 4-2 box where they have 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers. And they'll play what you call man-to-man, like we were talking about man-to-man, but they'll play with 1 high free safety. So they call that cover 1. So all the underneath people, the corners, the outside linebackers, or 1 safety will play man-to-man, and a free safety will stand in the middle of the field. But they also want to be very aggressive with it, and they want to blitz as much as they can to put pressure on the quarterback. So then they have to go to the cover 0 that we talked about, where the free safety has to come down and take one of the receivers because the linebacker that had him or nickel back is going to blitz. And the other thing they like to do is they like to take their inside linebackers and right before the snap of the ball, move them outside and then bring them off the edge and then slant the tackles and the ends inside and kind of pinch everybody and bring people off the edge. They like to do the edge blitz. And The other thing is the wing T is a physical type of offense. It's a hard-nosed, smash-mouth type of offense. So their defense is very similar.
Right.
They're very aggressive. They're very hard-nosed, smash-mouth type of defense. So one of the things you want to do with teams like that is try to get them in space. Teams that are very physical inside, you want to get the ball to the perimeter and make them run and get them out of their element. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, talk a little bit. I didn't really get a chance to really take a look at their quarterback. How is the quarterback for West Clermont? Is he doing a pretty good job? I haven't really paid attention to.
Well, he does what they need him to do. He doesn't have to be a kid that sits back there and throws 35 times a game. They'll run. All of a sudden, they'll play action pass, dropping back. He looks for the open receiver, and he throws it. It's not a real sophisticated passing attack. I'm not saying it's not good, but it's not like they got 80 different routes, and they're
right.
they have 4 or 5 basic route schemes that they run. They mix it in with the play action pass, and they do it, and he knows exactly what he's doing with it. And, he is more than adequate for what they're
right.
doing.
Right. And another thing too, Coach, is Nick Ayers is an excellent coach. I think. I mean, he does a really good job getting those kids motivated. And you saw it last year. They started off rough, and then they went on a win streak and did a good job. So they're going to be well coached, and they're going to be prepared, and they're going to be ready to play Friday tonight.
Yeah, they are. And I agree with you. I've known Nick since he was a high school player. When I was at UC, he used to come down and meet with me, and he'd have a list of questions, and they were very pertinent questions. You could tell he knew what he was doing. He was very organized and structured, and I would help him out with, whatever I could help him out with. But he is very structured, he knows that offense and defense inside out.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Coach, I really appreciate it. Just real quick, I think obviously the keys are going to be assignment football, and basically I think turnover is going to be a huge part of this game too. Do you agree?
Yeah, but the other thing I think Anderson needs to control the football, and they need to control the clock.
Right.
Because the wing T is like people that run the triple option. Like when you play Cole Rain and you give him the ball, you don't know when you're going to get it back. And your defense is going to be on the field for a long time, if you can't stop them. And usually, very rarely do these teams go 3 and out. So what you want to do on the offensive side of the ball is you want to try to control the time of possession so that they don't have the ball where they can grind it out and choose 6 or 7 minutes off the clock. I think that is critical.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully the Skins will pull off another win, and go to 3-1 on the air. And I really appreciate you as always joining us, and good luck to you Friday tonight. You'll be doing your game as well, so good luck with that.
Right.
Yep. So we're gonna wrap it up here. So for Vince Suriano and Dan Albers, you've been watching the pregame and halftime show. We get back with game action right after this.